Gore, Awesome Music People, episode number 1. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Thanks, man. This is a long time coming for me, and excited to get caught up. Even just sitting here, just talking about being in a podcast is.
Yeah, I know.
It's interesting for me. The term podcast just has so many different meanings in my brain. Man, this is just a conversation. This is just a way to get to know you, get to know your role as a person in Austin music. But let's start with you, Charlie Gore. You're a father.
Yeah.
You're a husband. How many kids do you have?
I've got 2 kids. I've got a 6-year-old girl and a 4-year-old girl.
All right.
Yeah.
So how's the dad life? And I mean, as a father myself, I understand that music definitely takes a back row, but are they into music or?
Oh yeah.
So do they love, my son calls it dad tar. He just can't speak, but like, are they into you playing? Do they play?
So they're both very, very musically inclined. And I think that, we play music all the time. I mean, their favorite movie is The Sound of Music. And like my Spotify Wrapped is literally like, we're like the 0.001% of Sound of Music.
The top 5% or top 0.1% or whatever. Yeah.
Which is cool because like, I'd rather it be that than something like I didn't enjoy because Julie Andrews is so freaking good. Like they literally have books of the autobiography of Julie Andrews. Like they love her in Sound of Music and what's the one where she's the nanny? Mary Poppins.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Mary Poppins. So like they're very much like I can see them wanting to do musical theater. And like I love that because
that's awesome.
I wish I would have done musical theater. But yeah, I play a lot around them. And they usually will come over and try to like, play my guitar while I'm playing it. And like it's cute. But it's also like I'm like literally like trying to write a song or like thinking through like a phrase or whatever. And they're throwing me off my game.
Yeah, distraction. But I mean, so do you have them in formal lessons at all or anything like that?
Well, my daughter was taking some voice lessons and it really wasn't, we moved away. We didn't necessarily love it. So we're going to try to do like a group voice lesson.
Yeah.
That's teaching them more like music theory versus like this other place was just like, hey, bring some songs that she likes and we'll play them on the piano while she sings them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You got to start with a little bit of a foundation.
Yeah. We're going to do piano lessons soon with my oldest.
Okay. Right on. And so your wife, Casey?
Yep.
Is she a musician? Is she musically inclined at all?
No, not much. She's a decent singer, but she doesn't like try.
Casey, I'm sorry.
Yeah. She can hold a tune.
There you go.
And there have been times where we've both been like, oh, wow. That was good.
Yeah, you hit that. Okay. No, that's cool, man. So where are you from?
I'm from Austin, Texas, born and raised.
All right.
One of the unicorns.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. And then I grew up here, went to Texas A&M, and then came right back because I wanted to be, kind of in the scene and in the bigger city for sure.
What part of Austin did you grow up?
Grew up kind of north central of like Burnett Road and Shoal Creek area.
Yeah.
And I went to McCallum High School.
Nice. I had some buddies go to McCallum. Austin Alvarado. You know him?
Austin Alvarado. Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
He would have been class of 09. Yeah, good buddy. He actually went to A&M as well.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, right on, man. Yeah, good dude. So your time at A&M, I know personally, but for everybody else, you played a little music around town. Alora actually was telling me that, she would go watch you at Shotzi's or what was the other one? Zapatos, right
Zapatos,
there. Man, R.I.P. Zapatos.
Yeah, I played a couple times at the Corner.
Okay.
And there were a couple other spots around there, and then like some of the coffee shops, like Mugshot. I actually was while we were researching this, I was looking back at like I Googled my name and Texas A&M to see if any like things where I could find something, and it was a thing about like the John Lennon tour bus, like 2008 thing.
Nice.
It was called Imagine Aggie Artists. And then it was like talking about how I played around in these other areas. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that place. Because it like quoted me on like places that I play around town.
Really? Yeah. That's cool. And so when you were in college, obviously, priority number one was school kids. But I mean, do you feel like I felt like when I was in school, my guitar playing got to another level because when I wanted to escape from school and all the stuff, I know you were heavily involved. MSC Fish, baby.
Yeah.
Weren't you like Fish of the Year?
I won. I researched this because I was like, I know we're going to talk about college.
Yeah.
The Flow Talent Show.
There it
Flow
is.
Got Talent, I think is what it's called. My freshman year. Yeah, I won that. Very proud moment.
So do you feel like your songwriting and your ability to play, I mean, obviously, I don't think a lot of people realize how much you grow in 4 years. And you look back where you were as an adult 4 years ago, but then where you started with college in 4 years.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you hit a point to where you at least established a process in your songwriting, or was it more of just growing as a person?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was definitely I don't think I had a true process. I think I would just like mess around. Usually, like when I'm writing from a melody perspective. Like I'll play the guitar part, and then I'll just start humming a melody, and I'll just start thinking through like, what is it going to be? So like I never, some people have like, I wrote all these lyrics and then I tried to build the song around the lyrics that I already written. Like, and that's never the case for me. And like in college, I think it was, for sure, did not really care much about school in terms of, I knew that I wanted to come back to try to pursue music. And so in my mind, I was like, I don't necessarily.
So, school was a backup plan.
It was something that I knew I would probably have to have a job. And like, clearly I wanted a college degree to be able to, get jobs and push that forward. But yeah, I wanted to always try to do music. Even if I had to get a, not a typical job in the workforce type of thing.
Okay. And so when was your first album cut? Was it in school or right out of school?
It was my acoustic album. Now I'm blanking on the name of it, but Everything We Need, maybe?
The Beat?
No, that was 2015. So that was, if we're talking about full band.
That was your first professional.
That was like my first official
you cut
full
an album.
Band album here in Austin.
Got it.
I had done one previously in college with a buddy from high school, and it was just acoustic one. So, the Beat is a full band production. It was done by AJ Vallejo here in Austin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool experience. I got in touch with the Austin Music Foundation, and they had like some mentorship type programs and things like that, and I was in it. And they introduced me to AJ and his brother, and we got to talking, and he was like, we can absolutely do this. And
I definitely want to talk to the Vallejos. They seem to be one of those groups, or even as individuals, they're just kind of all over. No matter who you talk to, you hear that name.
And they're really funny. Like they are really funny people. Yeah,
that's awesome. My buddy Valen, he goes by Zeely. Do you know?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, Austinite as well. He was telling me some of their stories, and he also made the comment they're funny guys. Yeah. So going back to when you were recording your first demo, it was just you and a buddy, and was it a GarageBand situation?
I don't know if it was on GarageBand or if it was on Logic. It might have been on Logic. It was in his house, and we went...
In College Station?
No, it was here in Austin. We went to his house, his parents' house, and went upstairs and just recorded all the guitars in like one sitting, and then came in and do the vocals.
Nice.
I liked it a lot, for sure. I think it set the tone of what I kind of wanted to do with songwriter aspect of it.
Were those songs, with that being your first demo, were those songs, some of them 5, 6, 7?
Oh, yeah.
Older
from
than
high
that?
school. Yeah. 16,
awesome.
17 years old.
So you started writing in high school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like 14 or 15, I got a guitar. And my dad got us a guitar. It kind of was in between me and my brother, and like he didn't really have an inkling for music. But funny enough, he actually picked up guitar he wanted to surprise me, and he bought himself a guitar.
Awesome.
Bought himself a chord book, like started learning.
It's good, bro.
And I went up to his place in Allen for the holidays, and he like busted it out and started playing stuff. And I was like, nice. Oh my God. And like the progression from October to now for him is like incredible. He's like pretty dang good at it now.
So now he's like
he's like
certified. Is he going to be on the new album?
No.
Oh, okay. But still, I mean, that's cool that he just picked it up just to surprise you.
Yeah.
My wife is filling me in. Your brother is a twin.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so you had the musical situation going on, and growing up, I guess that wasn't his thing.
He liked singing. He liked music a lot. Okay. We liked all the same music,
sure.
But he just never gravitated towards the guitar or he played saxophone in middle school, but that didn't really go anywhere.
Got it.
But yeah, like in high school, it was guitar, chord book.
Yeah,
I'd get on, whatever it was back then.
Ultimate Guitar.
Yeah, Ultimate Guitar or something.
It's still Ultimate Guitar.
Yeah, and I would just learn basically, I knew every Gavin DeGraw song by
Nice.
heart, like in year one. Like
Yeah.
I was like, Gavin DeGraw was my pinnacle. He was like, that's who I would like
So that was
envision to be.
okay.
For sure. He was so good. If anybody's ever seen him live, he puts on a hell of a show.
I haven't.
Especially back then. He was so good.
And so the singer-songwriter part, I guess you were writing songs at an early age. So I guess it kind of felt natural for you. You were sitting behind an acoustic, writing songs, singing songs. Was there any reason why you didn't kind of go into a different path as far as your artistry and go start a funk band or a blues band or something like that? Or
that's a great question. And I always think that like one of the limitations to like why I never made a bigger like push and into the industry here is that I'm hesitant to do a full band, right? Like I don't have that confidence. I've only played with full band like 3 times in my life. And so like my comfort zone is acoustic.
Okay.
And acoustic with like a piano backing and stuff like that. But like the full thing is just something that I have never been super comfortable with.
Right.
And I think that's honestly what kind of held me back because it's like I couldn't make that leap from like, hey, this is guys like a, local singer-songwriter, very chill vibe.
Yeah.
To like you could put a full band around this and make something cool.
So do you think that hesitancy was, just a personal holdback, or do you feel like your music wasn't there yet? You felt like you weren't ready to be the face of the band,
No, I think it was a combination of I just probably didn't network as much as I should have. Right? Like I didn't get out there and I didn't like meet a bunch of people and, find people that I'm like, oh, that guy's a drummer. He's cool.
Yeah.
We vibe together. Like,
and networking is a huge part of it.
And so additionally, like I had never even really, like I didn't even go through the phase where like I would get my guitar out and play to a song out loud, right? Like if you're like playing it loud as hell and you're playing the guitar alongside of it, like, so I didn't even have that like motion of like sticking to the really hard and fast beat,
Yeah.
So I think it was like a confidence level for sure. Like I didn't know if I could fully make that leap, and I was trying to make money. So like if you're in a band, you have to pay all the people in a band.
Okay.
And if you're not booking shows that make any money, they're not going to play with you anyway.
Yeah, your margins are already thin enough by yourself or you and maybe a keyboardist, like you said, or some kind of support musician. So when you first recorded the beat, what was that push like? Did you go and start trying to play around town to promote it? Or was it like a drop and see how this song... Every time I think about that, I watched a Shaky Graves interview where he was talking about how he would record on SoundCloud. And he's like, okay, and I'm going to butcher his words exactly, but he was like, okay, little song, Fly Away.
Yeah.
Just we'll see how this goes. Was it that kind of deal, or was it more of just promote it and go?
Yeah, it was definitely a push out. Like let's just get it out there. But it also, because it was semi-connected to Austin Music Foundation a little bit. And I did like a Kickstarter for it too. So like we raised money for it. And so like I had obligations and things to do with the Kickstarter. But I also was able to do something like a couple events that Austin Music Foundation like helped facilitate, and AJ helped facilitate. There was a BMI like showcase or something that I played. There were a couple other things that I'm not remembering the names of them. I didn't do a ton of research, obviously.
Oh, it's all right. No, that's fine. And so the beat was 2015, you said?
Yeah, 2015.
And so from 2015 to now, 10 years later, you're working on a new album, and you might be done with the new album. We can talk through that. But what was the big reason? Obviously, you started a family and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But a 10-year gap between albums, what was the deal with that?
Yeah, life, man. It's just like I was, at that point, like we wanted to have, a certain lifestyle. So I needed to make money. So I had to get, a real job and like really get into the, the business side of everything.
Of the world.
And And so like that just, for me, stifles creativity a little bit because, after you're done with the day, you're exhausted. You're like, I don't...
Focusing on family.
Yeah. And so then we started, our first daughter was born in 2018. And that obviously, again, work, life balance, new baby, another baby in 2020. COVID. Like, I mean, it's just like everything piles up. But like, I know that like I should have definitely, and I wanted to, but I just never really crossed that line to be like, oh, I'm gonna start it back up again. I think there were probably a year or two stretch where I maybe wrote one or two songs
Oh, really?
entire 2 years.
It's crazy how you just get so focused on trying to build something outside of music, and if you're not working on those muscles, the music's one of those things. I know I personally, and I've never written a song in my life, but even just playing guitar and just trying to play a lick that I could play 10 times over, if I'm not playing it every day or even every week, you just, it's crazy how much you lose that. And so I can respect that. I mean, a 10-year break would certainly, especially if you're not writing every day and, you know, going through those motions, because I'm sure you thought about plenty of great ideas and maybe wrote them down, but, you know, then you had to go change a diaper and there goes that idea, you know? So on this new album, what's the name of the album?
So that there's no current album right now. We're going to do probably just some singles and then see what happens. Just trying to get back out there with some new music.
Right.
But the newest single that we just completed is called What You Want To.
Okay.
And Ray Prim, actually local artist, Ray Prim and producer here, produced it. And there's a ton of great folks on it. Let me see. We had Zach Morgan on the keys, who actually is an A&M guy. He was in Strawberry Jam.
Oh my man, I haven't heard that.
And Zach is a fantastic keys player here, and he's in so many bands.
I remember watching Strawberry Jam in Bryan.
Yeah.
And thinking that keyboardist is on fire.
Yeah.
I mean,
shout out Zach.
Shout out Zach, man. God, that's so crazy. Man, I remember Strawberry Jam Tangent. They had a music video, and I'm pretty sure they shot it like on Lake Travis or something on one of those double-decker boats.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys ran the BCS music scene.
Oh yeah.
From my perspective, you know, from when we were in school.
Oh yeah, they were fantastic.
Okay,
I played a couple shows with them back in the day, and Zach was actually on one of my only full band shows way back in the day.
That's awesome.
So kind of full circle. Like when we started doing this project, I was like, I'm going to reach out to Zach because you know I know him, like I trust him, like you know it would be fun to work with him again.
It's good to have that relationship. So Zach on keys,
and then Sean Byrne, who's actually a Nashville songwriter producer. We actually had met and played at the Dripping Strings Songwriters Festival way back when in 2015, 2016, and that's where I met like Ray Prim and Tom Meany and all these really cool Austin musicians. And on the bass was Alberto Ferrer, and then the drums, Chris Villanas. And it came together really, really nicely. And it's out right now, but I'm trying to build like a strategy of like fully putting it out. That's, I think, one of the biggest things is like, you can't just put music out anymore. You have to build a whole persona and like brand around it. And like, that's where I just don't have the time in the day to devote to like, what do I want to do with this? You know, it's like, it's hard for me to think like, what's the plan of action to put it out there?
Yeah. It's like recording the music and being a musician is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next thing is showing people that you're a musician and showing people your music and getting to a point to where people know your music. And that's, I mean, recording music and perfecting it is hard enough. I mean, you probably went back and forth on a chord change, 6 times in the studio, but then trying to push that, and I respect that. And so I can see how that would be probably more challenging because music probably comes a little bit more naturally than promoting yourself.
Oh, for sure.
And so where'd you record it?
We did it at Ray Prim's studio.
Okay. Where was that?
The Ghetto Lounge. It's at his house.
Okay, the Ghetto Lounge.
He's got a spot in his house. The Ghetto Lounge is what he calls it.
That's awesome.
And we did it probably 2 or 3 sessions.
Okay.
And, we outsourced, because a couple of the guys don't live in Austin. So got to outsource some things out.
Okay.
And would do, hey, I like it this way. Like, try it one of these ways and just bounce ideas off each other.
That's cool. And so how many songs did you end up recording?
That was just one. That was just one. And the plan is to hopefully do a couple more this year. But Ray's a very busy guy. So, he's got a lot of other projects and a lot of things he's doing. But yeah, that's the goal, is to just try to get as much music out as I can. Not full, like, I don't have plans right now of like doing a full album. It's just get some music out that I like.
So are you planning to play any South by shows? You got anything lined up?
Nothing lined up. I actually had a show with Ray, Tom Meany, and Roger Blevins, who's a San Antonio guy.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
He's fantastic. It's going to be at the 04 Center in June, but we got our dates mixed up, and I'm actually going to be in California with my family at that time. And I was like trying to be like, yeah, maybe I'll just like fly in for it. And Ray was like, do not spend that money to fly into this show.
Well, I mean, if you want to,
Yeah. I'm going to try to find some new stuff. And, really like what I want, and like my ideal situation is like, I played the bar scene. I played the restaurant scene. I played those, 2-3 hour shows where like nobody's really paying attention.
Covers.
And I've been recently playing these kind of songwriter showcases called the Austin Songcore. It's an awesome group of musicians, and they do these monthly nights where they have about 6 musicians that go up, and they have 2 different sets where 3 will be up at one time, and they do 2 different songs where they talk about the song. It's really songwriter focused. People are in the room, they're engaged, they're listening. Nobody's talking, right? You're just listening to the song, listening to the stories. And like, that's what I want to find, because I don't need to do this for money aspect. I want to do it for like the enjoyment of what I'm doing, but also because I know, like, I think my songs are pretty good, and I think other people resonate with them. And I want to have that ability for them to listen without like, a bunch of people talking. Right. And so that's kind of what I want. And I envision my future, like what I want to do here in Austin. I would love to get a band as well, but like ideally like that, like house concerts where people are like, no, they're coming to a house show to listen and be engaged. And it's not like the entire thing. It's like a house party, and then like, hey, you focus for 30 minutes. Like that's it. And then
are you involved, or do you know of, I'm sure you know of, but are you involved at all with Sonic Guild, formerly Black Fret?
Yeah, so I actually went to Sonic Guild, the awards show this past
couple weeks ago.
Yeah, right? It was like, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago with Ray Prim and Tom Meany, some of his friends. And wow, talk about like the freaking awesome talent there is. Yeah. This band, Dearfellow, this guy-girl group are fantastic. And we played a couple of those Austin Soundcore shows together.
Okay, nice.
And they are so good. They played up there. A lot of really, really cool bands were up there this year. And like, you want to know something crazy? It's like growing up in Austin, I wasn't even really like in to the music scene that much. Like going to places. I didn't go to my first ACL till college.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're a unicorn?
I know. And like, that's what I think about my kids. I'm like, I need to get them to like really be into this
just
stuff.
get plugged in.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, Sonic Guild, I've been to a couple shows. I met Matt Ott through some other connections, some other things I was involved with here in town. And what a great organization as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people don't get about Austin music specifically. And even since I've started this whole podcast thing, I've learned so much more about, of Sims, of Ham. They sponsor a lot of things. They're heavy in town. But there's a lot of organizations and just a lot of people in general that want to put Austin musicians out there and on a pedestal and come and play. And so that's awesome that you were able to get plugged in with them. We talked a little bit about your music and everything, but when people see Charlie Gore, when people hear your music or they say your name in a conversation, what do you want them to think of? What tangent or what comparison or parallel do you want people to think in their mind whenever they think Charlie Gore?
I don't know, that I just have good songs. Like I like songs that they were like, oh, those are sweet, those are nice.
Right.
And like also that I'm a genuine person. Like it's, I think you can tell when somebody's being genuine in songwriting.
Yeah.
And so like I think that is one thing that I try to do with my songs is, make them more genuine and something that people can relate to. Maybe it's not their story, but like, similar things that they go through.
So speaking of being genuine, what do you think about the term live music capital of the world? How do you think we
I think that it's true. We have a lot of music for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think you you've got a lot of famous people that make their spots here and like really have made Austin. I mean, Garrett Clark Jr. now, right? I mean,
right. Yeah, he's our current representative.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So like, yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I know there's like a a little war between like Nashville and Austin.
It's funny because you go and you go to Nashville and in certain spots you feel like you're walking down 6th Street.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And you just hear music. It's all the same people. The bachelorette parties on the buses are rolling by. There's you feel like you were in Austin. I think where Austin differentiates itself, and I haven't spent more than 3 days and 2 nights in Nashville, so I'm no connoisseur by any stretch. But I think where Austin differentiates itself, and I'm sure this exists in Nashville, but these nonprofits that we talk about, and really just the community support that you get for individuals like yourself. Nashville has a strong reputation for things like the Bluebird Cafe, where you might go see some of the best singer-songwriters ever. Well, I'll go to Antone's or C-Boys on a Tuesday night and see Jimmy Vaughn, and then Gary Clark Jr. jumps up and opens for him. Oh, and then, by the way, the next month, true story, go to Antone's. I'll see, it was actually that poster right there is the 31st anniversary. Jimmy Vaughn was a headliner that night, and Gary Clark Jr. got up and played some songs with them. And then the next month, which was, I don't have a poster for that. The next month, I went out to New York and saw Clapton at Madison Square Garden. And his 2 openers were Jimmy Vaughn and Gary Clark Jr. And it hit me right there. And obviously I knew this, but it really just reconfirmed the idea to me that I live in a city that is truly especially in blues, right? Just at the mecca of music. And so, I personally agree with the live music capital of the world, statement.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at the scene at a surface level, you might say, well, Austin's changed. No doubt. Austin has changed as a city. But as you get more involved and start to understand the true venues that are keeping the scene alive, I'm talking about the small venues like Sahara Lounge or Sam's Town Point. And then you get...
My neighbor has been asking me to go to Sam's Town Point for months.
Yeah.
Shout out to Loke.
If you haven't gone to Africa Night at Sahara Lounge, you haven't experienced Austin music.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been out there.
I'm not familiar with it.
Man, it was... Have you been out to Sahara at all? So...
Where's it at?
It's on the east side off Wepperville. And I go to a lot of shows by myself just with the baby.
Right, well, you're going to text me next time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I will. Saturday night, they have Africa Night, and, they've got African food and everything. Man, you walk in and it's a small room. The stage is probably double the size of this office.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, the room itself.
Yeah.
The bar is a good size, but the room itself and where the audience stands in the stage. The story I love to tell people is, I walk in and there's this sweet lady. She's got the Willie braids going. She's taking people's money at the doors, checking IDs. And, I don't think anything of it. I'm just talking to her and just, hey, how you doing? Whatever. Gives me my ID back and I go on about my day. Well, it turns out she's the bass player in the headlining band and she's just rocking it up there.
Really?
But the reason I tell that story is that's where I really think the core of Austin music and the live music capital of the world. It wasn't a beauty pageant.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like one out-of-towner was just there to check out a show. I love the White Horse dearly. I love Antone's dearly, but you go there and people are, it's become
a thing.
It's become a thing, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And more respect to them. They're able to kind of stamp their name and their brand out there. But you go to these smaller venues, you'd be surprised how many people don't know of C-Boys.
Yeah, I know.
That have been to Continental Club a million times, and it's just like, well, it's down the streets.
Yeah,
the same guy owns it, and it's So that's where I think the live music capital of the world comes into play. You still have a great local representation of what Austin music is, and the people that make up the scene. So on that note, in your opinion, you're an Austinite. So how do you think we keep Austin music?
I mean, you kind of nailed it in terms of like all of these different things. I mean, look, I'm not the best to speak about all these various venues and clubs.
Sure.
Clearly, like those are,
and I don't want to pretend like I'm some nightlife connoisseur myself, man.
I wish I had the time and the energy, honestly, to go out and like see all these different places. But like, I'm exhausted most days.
Yeah. The thing that kills me, and I understand why, but Paul Val right now, he's a big blues musician. I don't know if you know Paul Val.
I don't know.
You need to check him out. Great blues guy. He has a residency at Seaboys right now, but he doesn't go on until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, man.
On a Monday. And it's like, man, bedtime is at 7. It's just like,
yeah.
It's hard
Absolutely.
It's hard to go to, or like Jordan Matthew Young has a residency at White Horse. I don't know if you know Jordan Matthew Young. I say Jordan like I know the guy first name. But all these residencies and all these cool things are happening obviously on the weekends, but on the weekdays. And so it's just hard as a dad. And
I know.
I'm sure a lot of people listening to this show be like, probably relate to that. So what are your favorite places that you've played in around town?
That I've played in around town? I mean, I haven't played that many places recently, but back in the day, I used to play a bunch of bars and stuff like restaurants and things like that.
Okay.
Umami Pizza had like a music night every Thursdays or something like that. It was down on Barton Springs Boulevard,
right?
Over there by that Juice Land and all that area.
Okay.
And I used to play there probably like monthly. I've played at. Honestly, I'm blanking a little bit.
So was it? But it was a lot of restaurants mainly.
Yeah, restaurants, bars, venues. Not a ton of venues, just because those are a little bit harder to get into. But then I would do like songwriting showcases and things like that.
Okay. So are you keeping track with what's going on 6th Street?
No, I have no idea.
A developer came in and bought. I don't know. I'm going to butcher the number, but I think somewhere around 50 properties.
Like right on 6th Street?
Oh, yeah. Dirty 6th Street. What we know is dirty. And are really, with the intention of making it kind of what it was, more of a, you had Steamboat, which is, I think, the aquarium now. Mm-hmm. And, I have an album of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing at Steamboat.
Really?
And that was right on Dirty 6th Street. And so
they're trying to move it towards more.
They're trying to get it back. They're trying to make it more, you can call it family friendly, maybe, or just clean it up a little bit. It's no secret that it can get a little hairy down there at night, and so you have a developer coming in doing that kind of stuff, and I don't think the intention is necessarily to push out people, but to increase the quality of what you get. I mean, you go to the east side, and from a bar perspective, obviously you've got a bunch of great bars. You've got some music venues over there, Hotel Vegas, White Horse. Yeah.
Oh, I played there at Hotel Vegas once.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Awesome. When was that?
That was a long time ago.
I saw my last show.
Like a 20-minute spot there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you outside or were you?
No, I was inside.
Actually inside.
Yeah, I was inside.
Yeah. Man, we used to go to Hotel Vegas before the east side was the east side.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that. I moved to Austin 10 years ago, so I can't pretend like I'm some like old school Austinite, but even 10 years ago, the east side and the city as a whole has changed, Oh
yeah, I just did a sales kickoff for my company down on Rainey Street at the Van Zant. Speaking of music, at the Van Zant. Nice. And we went out like around town on Rainey Street. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so different.
Yeah. I mean, just the development in general. So I skipped over this, but going back to South by. So growing up, would you frequent South by? I know you said your first ACL was college, but would you at least just go get plugged in somehow? Not
really growing up. Like we didn't go to a ton of live shows.
Were your parents musically inclined?
My dad played guitar and would sing a little bit, but like he wasn't like musically like driven.
Sure.
And my mom has a really good voice too.
Awesome.
But like we grew up, like I think we went to a couple of Bob Schneider shows back in the day.
Nice.
Growing up, I mean, Bob is still like one of my favorites.
Have you seen any Lonely Land stuff at Saxon Pub?
So my dad and I have been talking about like we need to go back there because we have been a couple of times, way back in the day. When does he do it? Does he do it on Mondays?
I think it's Mondays. Yeah.
Is he still doing it? Like
it's
every Monday.
Yeah, I don't know if it's every Monday, but Yeah, I think, I don't know, I looked a week or so ago and they were still there.
Right, well, my dad and I have been talking about going there at least once a month or so.
Yeah, Bob's one of those guys that
so freaking good.
Such a talent, like just an all around talent. Mm-hmm. Last time I saw him actually was Auditorium Shores, and I think it was the last year's half marathon that he was playing, just like, at the end of the show that Auditorium Shores, they got a band. Mm-hmm. And man, I forgot how much that dude rocks.
Oh yeah, he's just so
his
good.
Band in general.
And he's such a staple. Like he's just longevity. Yeah. Crazy.
And one thing that, kind of ties it all together for me, and you talk about Austin music, his guitarist was a guy that I had talked to millions of times. Every time I go to Austin Vintage Guitars, have you been to Austin Vintage Guitars off Red River?
No.
Yeah, awesome. My favorite guitar store in town. But his guitarist was a guy who works there, and people big in the scene. I don't know the gentleman's name, but it's like all these people have been playing together and have been in the scene forever. The owner of Steamboat, the venue I was talking about, is one. It was kind of like an MC who came up and spoke and like basically got the crowd ready for Bob. And he was telling, he told a quick story about Steamboat and everything. And it's just like, man, like, this is what I love about Austin music, is the community, the people that have supported each other and grown with each other.
Yeah.
You go back to a generation of, Jimmy Vaughn and just all the people around him, right? And then you got a guy like Bob Schneider and all the people around him. Yeah. And then you got a guy like Gary Clark Jr. and all the people around him. And you name one big person, and there's so many different characters that you might attach to their name or came up with them or were a part of their group or are currently a part of their group. And so that to me is the biggest part about Austin music and the live music capital of the world. And I'm sure Nashville and other, LA and New York, they all have similar stories. But as a guy from Texas who grew up in the, going to Green Hall, seeing Alvin Crow at the age of 10, not knowing who I was watching, but here I am 20 years later going and seeing Alvin Crow at the Broken Spoke. Do you know who Alvin Crow is? Just a country musician. Yeah. I say just a country. Great, great musician. But these guys have been around forever.
Yeah.
And then, the other story that I tell, I'm kind of going off into my tangent here, so sorry. But I took this Les Paul right here to South Austin Music to get it worked on. And I was talking to the guy who's helped me out with it. And the owner of South Austin Music comes over and he's like, hey, this guy's in a band. He's in a band called the Wagoneers. And I looked up I don't know if you heard of the Wagoneers, but big country band, big local presence. And I'm just like, man, this guy he's sitting here at South Austin Music working on my guitar. And so that night I went to Continental Club, watched the Wagoneers show for the first time. And it was just like, this is why the city, or this is why the music part of the city is Austin music.
Absolutely.
So what's next for Charlie Gore?
What's next? Just keep writing. I mean, it's therapeutic at the very least. But I've been writing some pretty cool songs that, I'm writing them in the lens of like, how is this going to sound with a full band, which is cool. And then try to play as much as I can. Like that's one of my goals in 2025 is just try to get out there and try to play more.
So you are opening up that lens though with the full band.
Well, yeah, in terms of recording. Right. But like, if I could get a good 5 or 6 songs that are new or full band, worthy, we could build a 20, 30 minute opening set, right? And try to do something cool with that. That would be the ultimate goal, but, just at the very least, want to get some new music out and try to just play as much as possible.
Right. Awesome. I mean, I think the biggest thing about, we talked earlier about being a musician and pushing your music. I think you have to find the enjoyment somewhere in the pushing of the music, right? Because if you're playing a live show and you're just doing it to do it, I would assume that's where things start to get stale, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I'm happy to hear that you're. It sounds like you're challenging yourself a little bit
For sure.
on this next one, and thinking about it not so much, but you in an acoustic, but how can I record this with the live band, but then maybe play it live with just you, and or
either option. Yeah. I mean, open it up
try
to
get them.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to like networking and trying to just figure out, people in the scene that, resonate with me. And
Right.
I think that's ultimately the goal, is like to try to get something together with a full band, because I think that opens up a lot more opportunities. But honestly, like just playing in general, my girls came to my last show,
Awesome.
and that was the first time they've really seen me play in a live setting. So that was really cool.
And as a father, I bet that you feel that's a whole nother level of pride, I bet.
Oh yeah, and like I really enjoy doing live shows. Like it's one of the best feelings to have, is like getting off the stage, being like, wow, I did pretty good in that one.
Yeah. One of the questions I always ask myself is music for recording or is music for performing?
Yeah, that's performing 100%. Like, when I write songs, like I write them in the sense of like, a lot of my songs like are very kind of even at start, and then like I can get pretty, intense, and I belt a little bit, and
Sure.
have a lot of passion, and like, yeah, it translates well on a recording, but like the way I wrote it, right? You have that in your mind of like that passion, and that like what were you thinking about in that moment? And that really only translate in a live show.
Yeah.
People can actually see you. They can see that emotion. And like that's what really like resonated with me with all these like awesome artists that you go see live. You're like, holy shit, like they're really into what they're singing. Even if they've sung it 1,000 times.
Yep.
The good ones will make it to where like they are in that moment at that time. They're not canning it in,
Yeah, I think about, and for the record, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Music is for performing. I mean, you think about the roots of music before recording was ever available. People were playing music. And I think technology obviously is, just the recording aspect is a huge component of it. But I think if you talk to any true musician, their passion lies in playing music in front of people, seeing their reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the separation of being a musician and pushing your music, you could argue that recording is the aspect of pushing your music in some senses. Obviously, you're recording it for yourself, or you're recording it for others, you're recording the music, sure. But the aspect of playing live and just engaging a crowd, I agree with that sentiment. So do you have any up and coming shows?
Nothing planned right now.
Okay.
I'm going to keep working on it and trying to, my job's been a little stressful, so trying to get through that, and, working through that, and working through trying to just figure out where do I want to play, and, what options are out there. And
so where can people find you?
They can find me on Spotify, Apple Music, Instagram, Charlie Gore Music. And I'm about to start officially kind of launching this new song. What You Want To is what it's called. I'm about to start launching that in the next couple of weeks, once I kind of figure out what my game plan is.
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to I don't know how much I want to be that guy that like lip syncs into a camera.
Sure.
Yeah. I'd rather like maybe put out like little tidbits here and there, but I don't know. Just that's like the thing that like, as somebody that's already in front of the camera all day in his work job, like I don't really want to do more things in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Unless it's playing, like unless I could like play actually live.
Are you talking from like a social media?
Yeah, like from a social media, like how are you going to put this out? Like where you can see, artists like they've put out 50 similar type videos of the same song.
Sure.
And like that seems, for me, I just don't like have the time or the energy to do that. Like, and that's where it's like, I don't know how to really like throw it out there to be like, I want these heard, but like I have to put in the work to do it, and I need to put in the work. I just don't know where the balance is.
Yeah, that's fair, man. Anything else you want anybody else to know about you or about your music?
No, I'm really excited to get some new stuff out there, and I'm looking forward to trying to play more as much as possible here in Austin in 2025, and hopefully we'll have some fun shows and some new music out.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate this. This is Austin Music People, episode number 1. We're gonna figure this out, but I appreciate you coming out and hanging out at the house.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get a little jam going.
Yeah. And hopefully in a year from now, this is off the rails. My music is back on track, and I'll come back here, be like, hey, remember that first episode?
Yeah.
Hey, I played 30 shows this year.
Man, I would love that. And I would love to hear how not only your music has grown, but how you've grown as a person from that. Because, I would have to think that obviously it's like anything else in life. And as your music grows and changes, you grow and change as a person.
Oh, yeah. My songs from 21 years old to 36 now are just insanely different.
First study.
Yeah. It's insanely different. The themes,
Yeah. I don't know why I did that little country tune. Not a country band. It's all right. Charlie, I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Well, that does it for Austin Music People, episode number 1. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Know someone we should talk to? Give us a shout on Instagram at Austin Music People. Tell your friends, tell your family, and get out there and support Austin music.